Hi, welcome back to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchell. Today we have a Final Friday planner collaboration video. You can check the description box for the links for the other collaborators. Supply links, as always, can be found in the description box below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and that way you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. Happy Planner Meets Mixed Media series has been a series with the overall mandate to use our mixed media stash and our techniques to create colorful, unique, personalized planner spreads and save money without having to buy all the pre-made planner stuff. So over this year, I've hopefully shown you lots of ways that you can do that. I've definitely learned a lot, and it is more than doable to just use your supplies without buying all that other stuff. So on my monthly spread here, I have cut out the phrase merry and bright, which I love for the holiday season. It's just one of my favorite sayings. So I thought it was only fitting that I put it on the monthly spread. And that's one of the joys of creating your own stickers and labels and sayings with your computer, because you can totally personalize it. This font is one of my all-time favorites for using for my various sayings and quotes. It's called Beyond the Mountain, and I believe I got it free off of defont.com. So check it out. Now I have this holly stencil, which I cut on my Silhouette Cameo. I believe it was a purchase file off of Silhouette. And I cut it last Christmas, but again, I didn't really utilize it for anything. And I thought, I'm just going to use my Distress inks, another product that I haven't used very much in my mixed media, but they work extremely well on these planner pages. They don't soak through, they give you lots of color and interest. So it's a win all the way around. So I'm just applying them here and there on the page just to make it a little more festive. And I'm just gluing down the same. Very simple. I will go to my phone and bring up the calendar and put in any special dates and events that are happening in December off camera. And then those things get brought into the weekly spreads. Now my planner over the last year has changed a lot, how I use it, what I use it for, and that's the way it should be. Your planner should reflect where you are in that moment in time. And if you're no longer tracking water or exercise, or you want to start tracking something else, you should be able to make those changes to your planner. And when you're doing it the mixed media way, that is really, really easy. So spread 1, weekly spread, and there are 5 this month, in the month of December. I'm going to use these Tim Holtz Crazy Cats. And again, these are just absolutely adorable. And while I had to have them, again, it's not something that I use all the time. But I thought here they're just going to be cute. And I have these little jelly prints that I used my circle punch and I cut out. These are going to be Christmas ornaments. And I'm using a Christmas stamp that I purchased from the dollar store. And instead of Merry Christmas, I'm going to have it say Meowy Christmas. And you see me working on one of my alphabet ones and just spelling the word Meowy. So I'm playing with where I want the cats and the ornaments to go. And I was thinking I would stamp right on the page, but I know that the archival ink soaks right through the page. And I'm not a big fan of bleed through, so I decided to stamp those on paper, and you'll see me doing that in a little bit. So I'm just positioning the balls and gluing them down with some gel medium. Now, if you don't have gel prints, you can use brayered papers, or you can just have, roughly just use leftover paint on papers and then use that with a circle punch or just trace a round object. So I'm stamping the crazy cats, 4 different crazy cats, onto paper. And this paper is just a little bit thicker than copy paper. It just stands up to any liquids and color a little bit better. Now to color this, I am not a colorer. It's just not my thing. But I just grabbed my Inktense pencils and I'm just very quickly coloring and then activating the color on the cats. I do a very little bit of shading and a very little bit of adding detail. Really, if you're going to want to learn how to color and shade, I'm not the one to be watching. I just chose different colors of browns and oranges and yellows for the cats. Just adding a little bit of detail, a little bit of shading, but again, nothing too spectacular. Then I use an X-Acto knife and my cutting mat, and I cut all these cats out. And play around and make sure they look good on the page. And then I'm just going to be gluing them down in place. Now the Inktense pencils, once they're activated, they are permanent, they are ink. And so you do not have to worry as much as with watercolor crayons or other things with smearing if you get them wet. Now, a few months ago, I decided to turn my classic planner on its side to do the planning. And I really like how that works. It just seems like there's more room. Now I got out my Tim Holtz stamping press, and I really haven't used this much. So, again, it's something I'm awkward at, but it's really nice to be able to, stamp it again if it doesn't work out. Now I used acrylic paint on this instead of ink because I don't want the bleed through. And I just make sure that you clean the stamp. So this is my Merry Christmas stamp. Now the word Merry, I don't want there. So I'm going to take a piece of masking tape and mask that off before I put the black acrylic paint on. And then I just lift the tape off before I stamp, and voila, you have an altered stamp that works for you. Now it's sticking like that because I'm using acrylic paint and it's a little globby and sticky. Just using my Secura Jelly Roll pens, which again, another product that works really well in the planners, doesn't bleed through. Just adding the gold topper to the ornaments. Now I think this Christmas ball with the cat would make a beautiful Christmas card or a little mini canvas or a Christmas ornament on a mini canvas. So I might just do another one of these on a mini canvas before the Christmas season is over. Just to send to those people on my Christmas list that are cat lovers. And I'm using a woodless charcoal pencil here just to shade quickly. It's a very quick, easy way of shading, but on the white page it becomes, you get a lot of dust and it kind of gets dark. So if that's something that's going to really bother you, then you may want to shade in a different way. I'm just continuing to shade on the bottom half here. And I decided I'm painting those letters that say Meowy just a little bit darker because it wasn't quite dark enough for me. Those letters were Dilutions letters, alphabet. And I painted this red. I believe off camera I'm just touching my brush to the Inktense pencils that I had out. Meowy Christmas. I love this spread. So I managed to get some paint on there, and I do touch it up after the fact with some white gesso. I wish I had done that before I had done this step, but you know, live and learn. And I have this stencil from the Crafters Workshop. It's called Christmas Tree, and it was part of a gift or prize that I got on their 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I love their stencils. I've always used their stencils from the minute I started doing mixed media and art journaling. And I decided that I'm going to use this across both pages. But instead of using the traditional Christmas colors, I decided I'm going to use these warm colors. So I grabbed out the orange and postbox red and the pomegranate seed and one of the pinks. I'm not sure which one. Cherry Pied, I believe, which I like better than the first pink that came out. And I'm just using the sponge applicators, which I absolutely love and is a staple in my craft room. I use it for putting on lots of different mediums and paints. So while the cat one had a lot of steps to it, this one was a pretty quick, easy. And I'm just loving the colors that this tree is. And I decide I'm just going to edge it with the pomegranate seed. I have the ink out and it's on the applicator already, so why not make use of it? Then it has the word Merry Christmas, and I decide to stamp through that stencil with black acrylic paint. I'm not so sure I would have chosen black. I didn't. Gold wouldn't have shown up. Maybe if I did gold and outlined it in black, that may have been the way to go. It's just a little more stark than what I would have liked. But one of the things when you're doing things like this on your planner, I also sometimes get ideas that you do on my planner, and then I bring it into my art journaling or into my canvases. Then I grab my gold Sakura Jelly Roll pen, and I'm just very quickly, not too carefully, tracing around all these parts. And it's just adding that little extra shimmer on to this Christmas tree, and the colors just go so well together. It really works so well together. I love my Sakura Jelly Roll pens. They have lasted, they don't dry up, they seem to write on pretty much anything that I want to write on. And then when you need a little bit more gold, so I just am using some Liquitex Basics gold, and I'm thinning it down and splattering with a fan brush. Then because I have more paint, I'm going to grab the Meowy Christmas spread and just splatter the gold there. And splattering with gold or any other color is a nice way of adding that little bit of color or colors to a planner spread and just makes it a little more special. Now this is a twinkle light set that I cut again from my Silhouette. It was a purchase file that I cut almost a year ago. And I just decided I'm going to put these little Christmas light bulbs all over this spread. And I'm just using various distress inks or distress oxides to get the colors. I'm trying to be random, but with the color selection, I just want a good variety of colors. The stencil really didn't cut out because of the way the cord was, but I'm using the shape of the bulb. using the distress inks in your planner. It's fast, it's easy, it's not a really wet product, so it doesn't bleed through the page, it doesn't warp the page at all. So it's definitely a good product to use on here. And you can write on top of it afterwards. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh, I could use this for an Easter spread as well. So I am going to take a break from doing my planner videos. And, you know, I may come back and do the planner videos. It's just right now. Other things are happening, and it's just a matter of time. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a break from the planner videos, but the videos that I have out give you all the ideas to run with. And if you're decorating your planner, I would love to see it in my Facebook group, All Things Mixed Media. You know, please continue. Here I'm using my Posca paint pens and using matching colors and just outlining the light bulbs. The Posca paint pens we found also do not bleed through the Happy Planner pages. So they are a really good product to use when you're decorating your planner in whatever way you want to use them. So I'm using gold, and I'm just going to paint this part of the light bulb. And suddenly it becomes less of an egg and more of a light bulb. And I'm just painting it in lightly. And I'm thinning the paint down just a little bit to make it easier. Now I could have just put bulbs right around, you know, along the bottom. I didn't have to do on the whole page. I mean, any possibility that you have. If you don't have a stencil, you can, you know, eyeball this shape, cut it out of cardboard yourself, and make your own stencil. So because this is distress ink, I'm just taking a wet brush and kind of putting, instead of adding white to make a shadow or make a highlight, I'm just putting white in and then taking the paint off, and the paint lifts because that's what distress inks do. I'm using a pit brush marker now, I believe, and I'm just putting the cord there, and I have no rhyme or reason. I didn't plan this out, so I'm, you know, going this way and that way. I think I added after the fact, and you'll see in the final pics the phrase, "Don't get your tinsel in a tangle." Adding a little bit of a dark mark where the highlight of what was. And this is just a bright, colorful page. Then I decide that I really want black around them. They don't stand out quite enough. There's not enough contrast. So I'm just going in with the black Posca pen around them. And you can see I'm not being very careful at all. Yes, this video is sped up, but I am not being careful. Then I have my distress oxides out, and down below the Christmas tree, again, was a mask that I cut out with my Silhouette Cameo. And I'm just putting a variety of colors, peacock feathers, faded jeans, a violet one, you know, and several blues. And I'm putting Salty Ocean was on there as well. Then I have a snowflake stamp that I'm just dipping in water, And of course, it's going to reactivate the distress oxides, and you see some of those snowflakes. It didn't quite turn out as well as I would have liked, but it did give a very interesting effect. I could have also splattered it on. So here you can see the process. I'm just putting the trees on the bottom and just applying the various colors. Now I could have chosen any color scheme here, but I just kind of wanted a night snowy sky. And, I am not even attempting to blend this perfectly. Could have spent a lot more time, but I kind of liked the effect that I was getting. And it's a planner page. And there I am dipping it in the water and putting it on here. And then using a paper towel to pick up the water and the extra ink. And you can see the little snowflakes. You can see more in real life than you can see on the camera. If I had put more ink on there, I think I would have had a better effect. So I'm looking at this now, giving it a quick dry. The distress oxides do take a little longer to dry. And I grabbed my jelly roll pen, and I grabbed the teal and the blue and the purple, and I end up using the blue. And just doing all the trees in the blue. This adds a shimmer to it, a little bit more definition to the white of the trees, and just makes it a very festive spread. And again, this is sped up, but I am not being careful, and I'm not going right on the edge. It's very loose doodling indeed. So then I get out my distress inks and that same snowflake stamp, and I'm stamping with the same colors on top. And I really love doing that, using my stamps and my stencils with the same colors that I've put into the background. It's just a combination that I find always really, really satisfying to me. And you always know that it's going to go together. So I grab my Martha Stewart metallic paint here, and I'm just dipping the snowflake into the silver paint and just having some silver snowflakes to add a little bit more sparkle and shine to this planner spread. And you can see how beautiful it is. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do a similar background on an art journal page or canvas, because I absolutely love the color combination and the snowflake with the silver. And I typed out again Beyond the Mountain font saying believe in the magic. Now I have all these gel prints, and they look like plaid, and I'll put a link to a video where I show how to create plaid gel prints. And I'm just cutting this shape again, which I cut with from my silhouette. I have a tracer there. I'm just cutting multiple Christmas decoration shapes out of the various plaid looking paper. And I can't cut one at a time, so I'm, doing 3 at a time. So after I cut out 6 of them, I used the X-Acto knife and my cutting board just to cut out the hanger part. And I play around arranging these balls. Now, I guess if I had wanted to, I could have gone back to my silhouette and cut these out directly right out of the paper using the silhouette, and had a size that may have worked a little bit better, but I just wanted to use what I already had on hand. So I grabbed this Recollections stamp set, this alphabet set, and I'm just pulling out the letters to spell the sentiment Plaid tidings to go with my plaid color balls. Now I didn't glue that last ball down because I wasn't sure exactly how much space I needed for the title. So right about here the battery light started to flash, and I did parts of this off camera. Finished the sayings and got out my jelly roll pens and added a few details, did some splattering, and then I came back and I decided that these were just a little too plain for me, and I thought, oh, I'm going to put some plaid tidings on each of the balls. So I had typed out different phrases that are associated with Christmas using different fonts, and then I close cut them and I'm just gluing them on the jelly roll or jelly print ornaments, and I really like that addition to it. I cut it fairly close around the words because I wanted to minimize the amount of white. So I get out a pen and I'm just going around each of them very sketchily, messily. Okay, so we have the monthly page, and I took my Sakura Jelly Roll pens and just added a little bit of outlining on there. So you can, I don't know if you can see the little bit of shimmer, but just added a little bit more of a festive note on there. I added, I'm going to put this way because that's how I'm going to do it. Don't get your tinsel in a tangle. Just kind of added it, splattered all the pages are splattered with gold. We have the Meowy Christmas, so again I went over with the Sakura Jelly Roll pan and some Prismacolor fine liner just to add a little more detail. You know, didn't change anything on this one. We're pretty much good to go. Here I added the tidings. These are plaid tidings: naughty or nice, believe, jingle all the way, all is calm, all is bright, eat, drink and be merry, sparkle and shine. So it just adds a little bit more of a festive note. The charcoal kind of got away from me here and it dirtied it up, but you know what, it's okay. Splattered that, and Merry Christmas. I love these colors. It's just so inviting. And so that is it. So thank you again for joining me on my mixed media, Happy Planner meets mixed media journey. You know, we're taking a break, but you never know. When things settle down, I may be back to making planner videos. Meanwhile, like, go back and check those ones that I have. There's lots of ideas. If you're interested in using your mixed media stash to create planner spreads, you know, there are lots of ideas already in the playlist. Thank you again. Have a Meowy Christmas.